Hello, I'm Pip Courtney. Welcome to A Taste of Landline. And we hope you're having a lovely Easter long weekend, however you're spending it. On today's show, what it takes to get your morning eggs.
We probably produce over 70 million dozen eggs a year and we sell them right across Australia.
The farming family with true grit.
Like any family, it has its ups and downs, but I think we're a pretty good crew.
And Landline's own Sean Murphy shows us his beautiful hometown.
You don't have to ride far out of the settlement at Rottnest to find some solitude. It's one of the things I love about this place.
One of Australia's biggest egg producers says two huge multi-million-dollar investments will future-proof it against changing consumer behaviour and industry regulations for decades to come. Landline was granted a rare look at the operation run by two Queensland families who usually prefer to stay under the radar. On a former cattle property at Pittsworth near Toowoomba is the result of a decade of research and planning by Sonny Farms. With strong growth in the free-range egg sector, it set out to establish the best large-scale free-range operation in the country. One which was ahead of industry rules and community expectations.
We realised that our customers, after listening to what they requested, that we need to move more towards free range. Consumers are changing their attitudes towards the way the birds produce eggs.
Kent Antonio travelled the globe looking at trends and hunting for ideas.
We learnt from them and adapted it back to Australia and brought a lot of technology from over there, state-of-the-art technology, which helps us to really focus on managing the birds, not on just collecting eggs.
The industry standard for free-range egg production is 10,000 birds per hectare. But feedback showed consumers were uneasy with such a high stocking rate. So Sonny set its own lower limit of 1,500 birds per hectare.
We've got 13 sheds on this property and they're spaced out. They're at least 400 or 500 metres away from each other, which is really good for being able to provide that spacing that we needed for the 1,500 birds per hectare. It's 6 times the national standard, so we believe no matter what, if that standard changes, 1,500 will still be accepted, and that's what our research and what the consumer told us.
At 1,500 chickens per hectare, each bird has the space of a queen-sized bed. Fallen logs provide shade and high perching spots outside. But the logs are just filling in until the 10,000 trees planted across the 4-kilometre square site grow up and out. It's all about what Kent calls range enrichment, allowing the chickens to exhibit their natural behaviours.
What that'll do is help draw those birds out more, give them cover from the intense sun that we have here, and also from predators, say wedge-tailed eagles or other hawks or whatnot, and just give them that security and protection like every girl needs.
While it started as 2 small businesses more than 60 years ago, Sonny Farms is now one very big one.
We probably produce over 70 million dozen eggs a year and we sell them right across Australia. We're now national and we're also selling into Southeast Asia.
There are 2 arms to the business, free range and caged. When John O'Hara joined the company a decade ago, caged eggs made up 70% of sales. But that's changed.
It's down to about 55% of the total market, Australian market, and free range is now up to about 40%. And beyond that, you've got cage-free eggs, or barn as they're known, and also organic making up the rest.
An egg farm is no different to any other farm. There are different grades of produce. The seconds, eggs which are misshapen, dirty, discoloured or cracked, go to a cracking machine where they're pulped. At this new pulping plant, the eggs are mixed, homogenised and pasteurised. At another state-of-the-art factory, the pulp is value-added. It turns out frittatas, fritters, omelettes, and both scrambled and poached eggs. One fast food company alone takes 4 million of these a year. It took a decade to plan and build, but Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk finally made it official.
Sonny Queen now has the capability to produce a new range of products that will be distributed through businesses as varied as coffee chains, airlines, restaurants, health and aged care facilities, caterers and the Defence Forces.
We couldn't film everything in here as several pieces of equipment are world firsts.
Look, we believe there are things in there that we've done that no one else has developed, even with our omelette formula, for argument's sake, but certainly in our poached egg line, we think we're doing things that no one else is doing in the world.
These egg bites are for Qantas.
They look for mass catering, they want good quality, consistency and safe, and we can provide all that for them.
The factory's operating at 80% efficiency, but the plan is to expand. They have the land and the eggs. The next step is getting into supermarkets, with a focus on time-poor office workers.
Yeah, you see people stopping by, grabbing a coffee, going to work, whatever, maybe grabbing a croissant or whatever. We want to be in a situation where we can give them a portable, convenient product in a container that they'll be able to take to work, grab their coffee, pop it in a microwave and have their breakfast at work.
The factory and farm investments are big and bold, but Sonny Queen says it's now prepared for whatever change the future brings.
There's a lot of things that will come towards us, and we'll just have to be versatile, and that's what we do with our business, is we just be ready to make sure whatever the consumer wants, we can provide.
My goal is to make great cheese, and I think great cheese is cheese which has a lot of regional character. And I really strongly believe that one of the best pathways to producing great cheese of that character is using unpasteurised milk. To be able to make cheese on the same property as what the milk comes from, that's our ultimate goal.
Hello, I'm Sean Murphy. I've been a reporter now with Landline for more than 15 years. The story you're about to see is a bit unusual because it's about me and a beautiful part of Australia where I'm from. A warning to Indigenous viewers, this yarn does contain images and voices of deceased persons. The road back home for me begins at sea. It's more than 50 years since my family lived here, but coming to Rottnest Island always feels like home. My parents, John and Nora Murphy, came here to manage the pub not long after they were married. My brother Wayne and I were the first of their 4 kids, and we enjoyed an idyllic childhood. Life was simple back then. Santa used to arrive by boat, and one year he looked suspiciously like my father. This is Dad today, going strong at 88. Before he worked in the hotel game, he was a soldier, first in the Irish Army and then as a volunteer for the Australian forces in Korea. He came to Rottnest in 1959.
Holiday time was nice because you were busy. But once the holidays was over in those days, in the late 50s and the early 60s, the only people who were on the island were residents. And they found it very hard to find something to do. If you like fishing, that was okay. And I lived for 8 years, or nearly 8 years on Rottnest, and never went out fishing.
John was a keen golfer and helped build the island course in 1962.
Nice one.
The whole population of the island, there were people who were business people and the people who worked for the board, they all helped, so it was pretty good. It was a big project, 9 holes on a place like this, no water.
These days, with reticulated fairways and greens, it's a far cry from the sand, greens and scrub of yesteryear.
If I get this in, it'll be a Lourdes miracle. Still nice to come back after 56 years. Great memories.
Mum and Dad may have been landlubbers on Rottnest, but their kids took to the sea like fish. One day my brother Wayne was bitten by a carpet shark right in front of the pub. I tried to outdo him by lighting a bushfire that tested the island's fire brigade.
So all residents were members of the fire brigade because the fire brigade was different in those days. There was an old cart that you had to run by. There's no motorised thing to bring it, you just ran it out. And there was a big hose attached to it. And the first time it was used for a long while, and I hooked it up to the water, and nothing came out but quack as shit and spread back spiders. It took them 10 minutes, 15 minutes for any water, and there was only a trickle. And the place was literally burned out by the time we got enough water on it.
The ocean is my passion, and Rottnest's wild waves, my longest love affair. These are the song lines of my youth. From about the age of 13, I used to come back to Rottnest every school holidays, and this place here was the big attraction, Strickland Bay. Even now, I can feel the adrenaline, the excitement. The line-up out there is a little bit contrary, but hopefully there'll be 1 or 2 waves for an old fella. For the last 17 years, I've been swimming to Rottnest in what's become the biggest ocean race in the world. The Rottnest Channel Swim is a near 20-kilometre race, and I do it with my oldest mates. We're a relay team of 4, but it takes many more hands to make the crossing. Getting fit and competing is great fun, but for us, it's more a celebration of our enduring friendship.
Well done. 6 hours, 50 minutes and 21. Well done.
Rottnest attracts about 500,000 visitors a year, and many are probably unaware of its Aboriginal history. 4,000 men and boys from more than 50 tribal groups were brought here in chains in the 19th century, often for crimes they didn't understand. What started as a bold experiment in 1838 to give Aboriginal prisoners more freedom became the centrepiece of a British system to crush any resistance to white settlement over nearly 70 years. The prisoners built the island's lighthouses, roads and buildings, which are now part of its heritage, and hundreds of them died of disease, malnutrition and mistreatment. In 1987, working for the West Australian newspaper, I revealed the island's tent land was on top of an unmarked grave with up to 400 bodies. It was discovered years earlier by workmen, but the authorities had kept this quiet.
We claim this land back, Rottnest Island!
It took another 20 years before tent land was closed down, and now, another 10 years on, the island is still struggling with how to define its past. Len Collard is a Whadjuk Noongar elder and Professor of Aboriginal Studies at the University of Western Australia. He's done a lot to educate West Australians about the Aboriginal connection to Wodjimup, as it's been known for millennia. But he's impatient about recognition of what is thought to be the largest black deaths in custody site anywhere in Australia.
So the big bolt would bang across and, get in there, you heathens! Australia's got to tell the truth. How are we ever going to work out how to be a nation when we keep lying and deceiving each other.
The island resort lease expires and the old prison quad will no longer be used as hotel accommodation. Tenders have now been called for a memorial on the burial site. It'll be an important step for reconciliation. Hopefully, recognising our shared history honestly can become part of the Rottnest experience and add to its unique place as a world-class nature reserve.
It's only about 20 kilometres to circumnavigate the whole island by bicycle, but there's a lot of hills, and every year I come back here, they seem to be getting bigger. You don't have to ride far out of the settlement at Rottnest to find some solitude. It's one of the things I love about this place. It's a genuine wilderness experience. It's wild, it's windswept, it's got a real rugged beauty. Not everyone shares that view though. The former Beatle Paul McCartney visited here in the 1970s and he called it the rottenest island he'd ever been to. Well, to me, it's my favourite place in the world and the most beautiful place for me.
Where was it loaded at, Mark?
Hello, I'm Margot Kelly. Running a family farm can be tough, especially when one family member needs full-time care. In this story, two generations come together to pull off a remarkable turnaround in their farm's fortunes. It's almost out of a picture book. Rolling green hills of lush pasture and happy cows producing quality milk. The Frankham family has enjoyed working on this farm on the northwest coast of Tasmania for decades.
I think there's 5 generations now coming through, and that's something that doesn't happen very often anymore. We work well together as a team. Like any family, it has its ups and downs, but I think we're a pretty good crew.
It's not your typical farm crew. Her 25-year-old brother, John Frankham, has muscular dystrophy, a degenerative disease where muscles waste away. But needing a wheelchair and a breathing tube doesn't stop him working on the farm.
I like to get outside and go over to the dairy. Actually, they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing. Oh, it's good. It just feels like you're a part of it, and yeah, I like it.
John Frankham is the numbers man in the family, a skill never more important than in recent years.
He's like the 2IC, he's the go-to bloke for all things money, particularly over the past 3 years when we had to start watching what we spent.
Like dairy farmers across Australia, the family's 350 cow farm struggled through the milk price crash of 2016. Coupled with a series of challenging seasons, paying bills became a struggle. The family decided to take a punt and join the vanguard of dairy farmers moving away from conventional farming in pursuit of a better milk price.
We just run the farm as per how everyone else did it, sort of, around our neighbours and everyone else. So up to about the last 4 or 5 years since we started going through our conversion into organics.
Becoming certified organic takes around 3 years. It means no longer using conventional chemicals on the farm, neither in the paddocks nor in the feed.
It's exciting. It's probably the most exciting thing that we've done here at this place. And I'm enjoying it. It's good.
It's physically and mentally intensive for everyone. Kevin Frankham has gone through it all while providing full-time care for his son. It's a 24-hour-a-day job. Diagnosed when he was 2, John Frankham could walk unaided until he was 12. He's since lost the ability to move, only able to control his left hand.
He just needs my support and things. We do get a care in 1 day a week, and his mother comes and looks after him on weekends and things, So you've only got to virtually do everything for him because it's just how his illness is. But while he's fit to play his role here, and things we'll just keep pushing on the same.
As the farm's finance manager, John Frankham keeps the potentially exorbitant cost of converting under control.
If you go over the top, you can spend heaps of money on, But so it's pretty much the same. What we're doing here, the cost.
He's done that by keeping a close eye on the books. But it's been difficult, juggling expensive organic feed and paying more for herd health care, all while farm finances were tight.
We've got Farm Nutrition Tasmania, that needs paying as well. So we feel like we've turned the corner. We're not struggling to do what we was doing the last couple of years. And that's a real good thing for myself and the rest of the family, John especially. So he doesn't have to worry about where the money's coming from to pay the bills. So and I think every dairy farmer has probably had to go through the same thing as what I've had to go through.
A surprisingly simple setup allows John Frankham to manage cash flow. Using a smart TV and a basic remote control, he's able to do all the record keeping using just one hand.
It's no different. If you took the chair away, it would just be like the next worker, do you know what I mean? He keeps pushing us in the right direction.
The family has had to source organic inputs themselves. That's Emmett Frankham's expertise.
It's kelp from Marrawar, it is. I think. Pretty sure it's from Marrawar. Yeah.
And you use that as a fertiliser?
Yeah, we use it as a fertiliser. It's a bit smelly, but it works well, Yeah, it goes all right. There's not really a lot of options that you can use, organic at the moment sort of thing, and some of them are quite expensive.
With her brothers on the books and in the paddocks, it's Rebecca Frankham who runs the show in the dairy.
I sort of find it a little bit empowering that I have control over what actually goes in the vat and what actually gets produced into the milk and all the other dairy products that Ashgrove do, and before that our previous supplier. I have a little bit of ownership over it.
A major challenge for farms converting to organic production is that the milk typically only attracts a premium price once the farm is certified. But the Frankhams are lucky. Their in-conversion milk is picked up from here and taken to a local cheese factory, which is using antibiotic-free branding to get the consumer to pay a higher price.
Milk we're selling is chemical and antibiotic-free, so that's our status at the moment with our milk. So it's not organic, but it's on the way to being organic. Yeah.
Does the price get better when it is certified organic?
Yeah, well, it will be better. Yeah. And the price, once we go into certification, the price goes up a bit. So it's something for everyone to look forward to. Yeah.
It's been a tough few years for the family, keeping the farm afloat and watching John Frankham's mobility decline, while completely changing their approach to farming. With the next crop keen to continue calling this family farm home.
It's been an emotional roller coaster at times to go organic. We made the right decision, and I think it's only a sign of really good things to come.
And that's the show. Thanks for watching. Remember to check out our Facebook page, where there's always something interesting to see. On our next episode, growing Scottish Highland beef in Australia.
It's going to dissolve all that fat, it's going to keep it juicy, but most of all, there's going to be a lot of deep flavour from that grass-fed animal.
Mountain biking brings new life to an old mining town.
The wilderness out here is just amazing wilderness, and it's great to showcase it to the world.
And native oils.
To think that we have these amazing essential oils that are native to Australia